Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to Jinjin's Cosmic. If you didn't happen to be here, perhaps it's time to meet your soul.
Maybe you're hearing these words because for far too long, you've been the one who tells the story so others can understand, but no one ever stopped to ask, what about you? Who listens to your story? You are an Aquarius and your life path is 3. You were born with the gift of unlocking emotional truths through words of speaking to the parts of people they didn't know were waiting to be seen. But you also carry a very specific kind of loneliness. The loneliness of always having to be the one who brings the joy. At Jinjin's Cosmic, we understand that feeling, the quiet ache of always needing to stay positive, to inspire, to hold the light for others, while deep down, you simply wish there was a place where you could be not okay for once. If that's you, then welcome home. Here, you don't have to be strong. You don't have to be interesting. You don't have to inspire anyone. You only need to be honest with your soul. And in that honesty, you might just light up a corner of the sky you never even knew you carried. Did you know the combination of Aquarius and life path? 3 creates a very rare soul, one often misunderstood, because you are both a visionary and a feeler. You can take what is abstract and turn it into something others can feel. You speak profound truths in such a gentle way that people don't feel like they're being taught. They simply feel like they're being opened. At Jinjin's Cosmic, I once worked with a student named Nami, an Aquarius 3 working as a communications advisor for a non-profit. She told me during a private healing session, I don't think I'm doing anything big. I just tell people what I see, but with feeling, not logic. I believe, if I'm honest enough, the reader will feel it too. And she was right. An aligned Aquarius 3 inspires others, not by trying, but simply by being real. They don't speak to impress. They speak so others no longer feel alone. You don't need to be on a stage. You don't need to perform like a professional. Just by listening, being present, and feeling with your heart, you're already healing a piece of the world. I call this communicating through frequency. You speak with your eyes. You heal with simple, honest stories. You connect with humor that has depth not to entertain, but to help others exhale in relief. In your career, you thrive as a content creator with purpose, a brand advisor, especially for mission-driven projects, a heart-led educator, artist, writer, or multi-platform storyteller. I remember a guest on Jinjin's Cosmic named Thang, a young filmmaker. He's also an Aquarius 3. He told me, I don't make films to be famous. I just want to tell the stories people try to ignore. And I believe if I tell them gently enough, people won't be afraid to look at them anymore. In love, people like you often speak emotions. Your partner can't yet name love in a way that gently helps the other person heal. Bring a sense of spiritual companionship, both calming and awakening. But remember, you are not responsible for always being inspiring. Sometimes, just being there, not happy, not wise, just yourself is already a form of light. To you who carries the revolutionary light of Aquarius and the soul-stirring voice of life path. 3. May you always keep your creative fire alive, but also allow yourself to be still, to step back, to not always perform. If this message touched something inside you, leave a comment or drop a little heart. That's how Jin's Cosmic knows you're here, present, quietly healing, as only a soul like yours can. The universe is still listening, and you don't have to speak loudly to be seen. One of the most tender heartbreaks I've witnessed working with Aquarius life. Path 3s at Jin's Cosmic is realizing that sometimes their laughter isn't light, it's armor. They use humor as a beautiful disguise because deep down, they're afraid that if they get too serious, if they show their real sadness, no one will stay to listen. Do you ever feel like this? Like you're the funny one, the storyteller, the mood lifter, but no one ever truly asks, and what about you? Like you're the inspiration in the room, but when you get home, you feel hollow, quiet in a way that's not peaceful. Like silence scares you, not because it's loud, but because it exposes everything you haven't faced. At Jin's Cosmic, I once worked with a client named Ryan, an Aquarius 3 who was a creative director at a major agency. During our first session, he spoke with that familiar joking tone. I can make things go viral like clockwork. But when my partner asked, "Are you okay?" I just laughed and changed the subject to deadlines. Then he fell silent. No more jokes. And he said, "I honestly don't know how to start because I don't even know where it would begin." That's the quiet tragedy of many 3s. You help others name the feelings they can't describe, but don't allow anyone to touch your own heart. In work, a misaligned Aquarius 3 might radiate constant positivity, making others expect them to always be cheerful, always creative, over-deliver, shine, give endlessly while quietly burning out inside, because no one sees how hard they're holding it all together. Fear stillness, because when things go quiet, the emptiness inside becomes too loud. In love, you might make the relationship vibrant, deep, and alive, but be seen only for your fun, not your depth. Attract partners who benefit from your emotional insight, but never stop to ask, "What about you?" Withdraw in silence and others assume they're fine, they're strong. To you, the one who carries the visionary spark of Aquarius and the artist's soul of life path. 3. May someone see you behind your smile, and may you be surrounded by those who don't flinch when you stop performing. If this feels true to your path, leave a comment or drop a to let Jin's Cosmic know you're here, no longer performing, no longer pretending, just being. The universe always has space for a soul like yours, one that is sad and beautiful and deeply, deeply real. There's a fragile phase in the growth of an Aquarius 3, a moment when creativity and emotional sensitivity stop feeling like gifts and start becoming strategic tools. At Jin's Cosmic, we call this the misaligned healing reflex, when your words are no longer used to connect, but to control, not intentionally manipulative, but because you understand people so well, you unconsciously choose words that make them feel not enough. You might be the one who writes a team email with no direct blame, but everyone feels like they've fallen short, and no one knows exactly why. The partner who speaks with perfect call, yet your words leave the other person feeling guilty. Not because you're harsh, but because you're too precise, too rational, too correct. the one who shares emotions beautifully, vulnerably, eloquently, but somehow people walk away feeling like their own feelings aren't deep enough to reach you. I once worked with a client named Mary, an Aquarius 3 and a life coach in slow living and emotional connection. She told me about a 3-year relationship. Her partner once said, "I don't know how to act around you anymore. You're always right. You speak in ways I can't argue with, but I don't feel like myself anymore." At first, Tu was deeply hurt. She thought, "What did I do wrong? I didn't hurt him." But through healing sessions and deep reflection, she came to understand something we often share with 3s at Jinjin's Cosmic. Sometimes we're not here to fix people, but to learn how to love them as they are, not as the version we think they should be. For an Aquarius 3 in distortion, intellect becomes an emotional fence. You're so good with words. You use them to avoid being hurt, but others begin to feel like they're living inside a beautifully decorated room they're not allowed to enter. And when that happens too often, you end up always being right, but feeling deeply, quietly alone. To you who carries the intellect of Aquarius and the artist's heart of life path. 3. May you remember, softness does not make you weak. You are allowed to be wrong. You are allowed to be quiet. You are allowed to be misunderstood and still worthy of love. If this message resonated with you, leave a comment or to let Jinjin's Cosmic know you're still here in your own way, in your own rhythm, in your own truth. You don't need to say the right thing to be loved. You only need to speak what's real. And the ones who are aligned with your frequency will feel you. When an Aquarius with Life Path 3 transforms, the most beautiful change isn't that they talk less. It's that they no longer use words to make others understand them, but to help others see themselves more clearly. At this stage, your words are no longer shields for your ego. They become soft bridges to the world. I call this state the healing light of language, when what you say doesn't need to be clever, eloquent, or attention-grabbing. It just needs to be real, warm, and right on time. You're no longer telling stories to impress, you're sharing to give life. You no longer fill the silence with words because you've learned how to be present with silence itself. Here at Jinjin's Cosmic, I once worked with a client named Yen, an Aquarius 3, who mentors in the creative field. She used to feel exhausted from always having to inspire. She once told me, "I feel like a performer on a stage, and every time I'm not feeling upbeat, I feel guilty, like I'm pulling others down with me." But after doing deep inner work and learning how to rest without disconnecting, she began sharing in a much simpler, more grounded way without needing a content strategy. And strangely enough, the most honest videos turned out to be the ones that made people cry the most. Because when you truly transform, creativity is no longer a pressure. To perform, it becomes your most natural way of being. In work, a transformed Aquarius 3 no longer tries to find their voice. They become a voice that speaks to the soul. You might be someone behind the scenes, but when you do speak, your words shift the entire system. In love, you stop expecting others to fully understand you and instead begin offering the light of your self-understanding. You no longer love to lead you, love to walk beside. You don't love to heal someone, you love to heal together. To you, the one who carries the storytelling light of the three and the visionary soul of Aquarius, may you come home to the most natural voice within you, not the voice that's meant to be heard, but the voice that allows others to see themselves. You don't need to inspire, you just need to be real, and your presence will be the inspiration. If you feel seen in this message, drop a comment or leave a, so we know you're still here quietly, gently, truly. You don't need to say more. You just need to speak when your heart is grounded and the world will quiet itself to listen. If you're an Aquarius with Life Path 3, then maybe you've felt like a one-person show on the stage of life. You speak, you connect, you light up the room, but when the curtain falls, it's just you and the silence. Here at Jin's Cosmic, we want you to hear this. You don't have to be the light, because you already are the light. And real light doesn't need to dazzle. It doesn't need to make noise. It simply needs to show up in the right place, at the right moment, carried by a heart that has quietly learned how to heal itself. You have the right to be tired. You have the right to rest. You have the right to be loved, even when you're not perfect. Wishing you the one who carries the innate creativity of Life Path 3 and the timeless vision of Aquarius, may you always be authentic enough to be seen and tender enough to let your heart be touched. If this video resonates with you, leave a or share a comment with Jin's Cosmic. We'll be back with more deep, soul-healing journeys made just for those learning how to shine and live at the same time. The universe isn't in a rush, and neither are you.
And if you feel called to walk this path a little longer, don't forget to follow Jin's Cosmic